5 gang members reacting to life sentences. Hi, my name is Abel Gallegos. I am 36 years old and am being charged with various crimes, including first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, kidnapping in the second degree, retaliation against a witness, and tampering with a deceased corpse. The victim was a woman named Simone Duran, who was 28 years old. Reports indicate that I had sought Duran on social media and ultimately succeeded in persuading her to meet with me. Tara Duran was kidnapped, seduced, and shot 10 times while she begged for her life. She was then set on fire. Rennie Riesel and Aulon Zokin were both shown in the video. It is inexcusable that this is my 6th conviction for a felony, not to mention the fact that I have had my parole or probation revoked at least 8 times for the same offense. I am struck by the casual illness in which the crime was committed, the complete disdain for her life, and the fact that she is no longer able to live among us. Naughty judgment was expressed. The sentence that was handed down to me was 163 years, in addition to life in jail without the possibility of parole. The individual in question is Adam David Pate, a resident of Lancaster, North Carolina, who is currently facing charges of first-degree murder for the homicide of Ricky James, who was 33 years old. Due to his bizarrely tattooed face and surgically split tongue, Pate became the most popular figure on the internet. His face was covered with tattoos. His face was divided. In October of 2013, Pate, who was 25 years old at the time, led Mr. James into a wooded location where he then used his mind to take his own life. One of the most noticeable tattoos is the number 974, which is a mark of loyalty to the Gangster Disciples, one of the more well-known gangs in North America. When 2 youngsters were looking for a lost dog, they discovered the body of James. Can you even begin to understand the pain that this discovery may have caused for the children? According to the report, his body was discovered with around 40 stab wounds and evidence of an extraordinarily horrible display of insanity. According to Pate, Ricky was the one responsible for the incident. Who would go drinking in the woods with someone who looks like this? He asked. Who would do that? Once more, he is being questioned in a chamber where he does not appear to care about the things that he has done. The court heard a brief portion of testimony from Ricky's brother, who stated that they believe God is a God who is benevolent. There were statements made by one of the investigators working on the case that were completely without remorse, and the court had some words to say about Painters. This year, he was given a sentence of life in jail, and the weird smile that he had been wearing on his face became even more pronounced. 14 members of the Trinitario Scan have been charged with first-degree murder, second-degree murder, manslaughter, conspiracy, and gang assault in the following case. Furthermore, they have been charged with gang assault in connection with the terrible murder of Lisandro Jr. Guzman, who was 15 years old at the time. This was about to take place. A member of the gang had been shot the day before, and Junior Guzman was being pursued by the gang on the evening of June 21, 2018, in connection with the shooting of another member of the gang. The security film, both inside and outside, portrays a horrible scenario in great detail. Guzman attempted to conceal himself by running into a bodega, but he was swiftly apprehended and carried out of the establishment by other members. After attacking the 15-year-old with knives and machetes, the members of the gang, who ranged in age from 19 to 29, left Junior Cruel for dead at a nearby hospital, but he tragically passed away in front of the building. The video recording was so horrifying that as soon as it was uploaded to the internet, it quickly became extremely popular and caused widespread uproar among the community. Not long ago, the trial that had been going on for more than 4 years finally came to an end, and the verdict was guilty for all of the defendants across the board. A sentence of 12 years in jail or life without the possibility of parole is possible. On the other hand, the Supreme Court reversed that sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole just a few days before this footage was made public. Even though the details are still being uncovered, it is related to the fair trial in some way. In addition to all of this, The most tragic aspect of this case was the fact that the minor, who was only 15 years old, was killed because of mistaken identity. Having witnessed this, do you believe that any component of the justice system was unfair to the individuals who were members of the gang? He was not a member of any gang. He was a model young man. A member of the 18th gang in Los Angeles, Pedro Espinosa, has been charged with first-degree murder in connection with the killing of Jamie Shaw Jr., a high school football player. Espinosa is charged with the death of Shaw Jr. and the events that transpired before the commission of this crime that captured the attention of the nation. Espinosa was already doing time in prison on a firearms charge and an assault on a law enforcement officer before the commission of the crime in March of 2008. The downward spiral of criminal activity began fewer than 24 hours after Espinosa was released from prison because he committed the cold-blooded murder of Sean the very next day. The Shaw Jr. case was utilized in Donald Trump's inaugural campaign, during which he advocated for harsher immigration policies and gang violence. This brought the situation to the forefront of public attention, which intensified its intensity. You can't just walk out and kill someone, can you? Cold blood is the escape route for the coward. In addition to being a member of a gang and a killer, Pedro was also an illegal immigrant in the United States before he was arrested. The conclusion of the trial did not occur until the year 2012, when Espinosa was found guilty of all charges by the jury. The verdict was unanimous. The jury's recommendation was to carry out the death punishment. However, the sentence was changed to life in prison. I assume that Pedro's chances of being granted early parole are virtually non-existent at this point. It is possible to read that Jackson is facing a sentence of between 17 and 40 years in prison for the murder of a member of the Ypsilanti gang, which is a rival gang. Makido Susan Braun, Duff's mother, tearfully recounted hearing the news that her son had been shot in the head after the 2015 street party world was turned upside down from that moment forth. The sentencing of Con J. Duff Jackson took place in a courtroom that was packed and emotional. And the reason I am sharing this is because when our children make these decisions out here, they do not comprehend how it affects everyone else. This is the reason why I am sharing this. Jackson, who appeared to be regretful for his acts, was knocked along during Clay Brown's remarks. Clay Brown blamed the gang culture that her son and Jackson were caught up in. Furthermore, when he was allowed to speak for himself, he had this to say on behalf of the family of the deaf. A circumstance that is a loose situation for me and my family is one in which my choice of people deserves to bury her son, and her mother deserves to hear my terrible twister. I am aware that Baltimore will not be able to see the sudden game of poker, and I will put it out of my mind for a while. In the meantime, my mother will give me football. Consequently, that was a very unfortunate circumstance involving a neighbor, my grandparents, and my parents. I simply wanted it to be known that, my family did not bring me up to be a nasty guy. Another option is that he issues a warning to other members of the gang, expressing his thoughts on the lifestyle he has chosen to live and reflecting on the decisions he has made. On February 24, 2017, Jackson entered a guilty plea to the accusations of 12 counts of perjury, 1 offense of armed robbery for weapons, and 1 count of murder in the second degree charged against him. On the accusation of murder in the second degree, he was sentenced to 15 to 40 years in prison, and on the charge of armed robbery, he was given an extra 2 years in prison for a felony firearm charge. Everyone involved in this situation demonstrated a great deal of forgiveness and understanding, and it is my prayer that they will all be able to begin the process of healing and repentance in whatever manner they perceive to be appropriate. Do you like it? Kindly give your valuable response in our comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting and informative videos.